The scene opens up with Ji Hyuk being wheeled into the hospital with Ji Won following close behind. Ji Hyuk is currently unconscious from the car accident. Ji Hyuk has sustained some injuries, so an emergency surgery has been performed. We then flash back to 6 days before the accident, and Min Hwan is talking to Yura, who tells him that Ji Won had stolen her fiance. Like, come on now. He dumped you before he even got into a relationship with her. Like, what is wrong with this chick? Anyway, Sumin is there talking to Jiwon's mum, who she tells is stupid for bringing up money first to Jiwon when they had met. It appears that the two were scheming to get money out of Jiwon. Minwon then calls Sumin to ask how she got the envelope that contains the information on Jiwon and Ji Hyuk. So Minwon tries to act like he's slightly offended with Yura, but she basically asks him if he wants to continue moaning that nothing went well for him in his life or if he's going to do something about it. He gets a bit annoyed and pins her a bit against the car, but she is just staring him down, unafraid. Yura then goes on to tell Minwon why she wants to get back at Jiwon, and that it would also benefit Minwon if they work together, as they both want to get revenge on the same person. Yura then tells Minwon to think about it before getting her secretary to hand him a card with her number before they both drive off. At work, Jiwon is in the lift talking on a phone when Minwon enters the lift. As soon as the doors start to close, Minwon pushes Jiwon against the wall and tells her that she is more ambitious than he thought.
아, 뭐 하는 짓이야?
야, 너 생각보다 야망 있더라. 응?
He seems to be under the impression that she dumped him so that she can be with Ji Hyuk. He questions when she started planning it all, and Jiwon knees him in his balls before reminding him that he did cheat on her with Sumin. Jiwon arrives home and then is approached by Jo Don-suk, Ji Hyuk's friend. He offers her food and tells her that Ji Hyuk suggested that she continue learning self-defense from him instead of Ji Hyuk because she may be uncomfortable. Unbeknownst to Jiwon, this is all being observed by Minwon, who had followed Jiwon home. Minwon remembers seeing Jo Don-suk at Jiwon's apartment when he tried to deliver food to her previously, as well as when he was tied up and threatened to pay back what he owes for the loans. Minwon then decides that he's going to go and meet Yura, who was sparring with her secretary. She then invites Minwon into the ring, who thought he was going to go up against her, but instead it was the secretary that he was against, who promptly kicked Minwon with a roundhouse kick, which sent Minwon flying to the floor. Awful. Mr. Lee provides Ji Hyuk with some paperwork which shows that Jiwon has unknowingly become one of the richest real estate owners in Korea thanks to Ji Hyuk. Mr. Lee asks why Ji Hyuk is making so many preparations for the future as if he's going to die, as he knows that Ji Hyuk is not in ill health. He even went so far as to ask, if Ji Hyuk and Jiwon actually did break up. Yura then tells Minwon that Jiwon has become a owner of about 80 billion won's worth of property. Shortly after, Minwon is presented with 2 suitcases of money and told by Yura that Jiwon and Sumin's relationship is funny and that they are actually like sisters. Minwon arrives home with 1 briefcase of money and tells Sumin that she has a lot of things, she has been holding back a lot of things from him, such as using Jiwon's mum to try and swindle money from Jiwon. Minwon then tells Sumin that Jiwon has 80 billion won that Ji Hyuk told her, which then makes Sumin ultra mad. Minwon also tells Sumin that he knows that her dad is actually still alive. We then see Sumin's dad being threatened in his restaurant by some thugs who are demanding 100 million won. Sumin watches from the outside but waits until they leave to speak to her dad. That's where Jiwon's mum is, and we see that she's hiding behind the counter. We then flash back to Ji Hyuk, who has met Yura. He presents her with some documents for part of the business that he's trying to give to her. she's not interested. And then he hears like a sound in another room. So he goes to investigate, but doesn't see anything on there. Yura thinks that he's trying to act like he's jealous because there might be someone in there, but we know that ain't the truth. So he heads back out, tries to give her the envelope again, which she isn't really interested in. So Ji Hyuk makes a phone call and says there's something that needs to be looked into. And Yura goes back into the bedroom and tells Minwok he can stop hiding, and then tells him that Ji Hyuk was trying to give her the businesses that are worth 4 trillion won, which surprises Minwon. So she tells Minwon that he'll have enough money for the rest of his life. All he has to do is kill Ji-won and she will clean up the mess before giving him a kiss. We flash back to Soo-min and she opens up the bag of money and tells, her dad that it's 150 million won.
두 사람 정도는 쥐도 새도 모르게 묻어버릴 수 있는 사람이 관련되어 있으니까 시키는 대로 하면 이렇게 거지 같은 인생도 끝이야. 아니면 다 같이 죽는 거야.
Yura tells Minwon that they will tell them what to do step by step. And she says to her secretary that men don't seem to be wary of who they're sleeping with. And that's when she finds out that is Ji-won's father's death day. So she decides to make this D-Day. Mr. Lee calls Ji-hyuk and tells him that they were keeping an eye on Yura, but may have been the wrong person because it seems that Ji-won's mother has rented a van under an alias. Sorry, not a van, a truck. So Ji-hyuk calls one of his friends that was watching Ji-won and he finds out that she's already left the graveside and his car's broken down, so he can't follow her. So he gets in a car and heads there, but while he's driving, he decides to leave Ji-won a voicemail because she didn't answer when he called. And that's when he tells her about him having an accident and how when he got sent back that he wanted to be in her life and make her happy. And then he also tells her that how he does love her as well.
난 2023년에 죽었습니다. 교통사고였어요.
After Ji-won managed to charge her phone, she manages to listen to the message that was left by Ji-hyuk, and that's when she finds out about how he died in the original timeline and how he really does like her. And we see Soo-min speaking to Ji-won's mother and saying about she doesn't seem to be too upset about talking about killing off her daughter. And they have a little discussion about how Soo-min's father treated her growing up and how he's useless at pretty much everything before he arrives and proves that he is pretty much useless at everything because he couldn't even kill Ji-won as planned and instead ended up running from the scene of crashing into Ji-hyuk instead. So Soo-min is throwing things around in a hotel room because her dad and Ji-won's mum left her there. Seems he chose Ji-won's mum over her again and she's upset. So Ji-won follows Mr. Lee as she sees him leave with another person and she overhears him talking about how Soo-min is involved in the accident where Ji-hyuk got hurt. And we see that the chairman, Hee-yeon and Mr. Lee have arrived. And that's when they find out that the surgery was a success, but that Ji-hyuk is currently in a coma and they don't know how long it would take for him to come out of it.
넌 날 진짜 그냥 못 놔두겠어? 예전부터 물어보고 싶었는데 이젠 물어볼 수 있겠다.
So Ji-won confronts Soo-min about why she's been treating her that way since they've met. And Soo-min says that is because her mum had an affair with her dad 14 years ago. Like, that's a reason to be doing all of this. We flash back and we see that Soo-min has tried to contact her dad and he doesn't answer. And then her mum tells her, like, you need to come help her out. And then Sumin then goes and finds out where her dad is staying. She calls him and sees that he doesn't want to answer the phone and that he basically says he don't want nothing to do with her, basically. So she gets annoyed, and when she finds out that his new girl has a kid, she goes and takes her wallet and uses that as an excuse to introduce herself. She even says that they could have been friends, but that had all changed when she went to Jiwon's house and seeing that how her father dotes on her, which is a contrast to how her mother treats her. And from that, she always wanted to take everything from her because Jiwon was smiling without a clue about what's actually happening.
니네 아빠가 바람난 상태가 우리 엄마였다. 아무도 몰랐는데 너는 알고 있었다. 그까짓 게 평생 날 괴롭히고 나한테 소중한 건 다 빼앗을 이유가 된다고 생각해? 정말?
Jiwon tells Sumin that's the dumbest reason for trying to take everything from her. And she also lets Sumin know that she did actually know who her mum had the affair with. And she thought that Sumin didn't know and that it was a blessing and that they could have been happy together, which was why she was willing to give up and on certain things and make sure that Sumin was happy, which Sumin didn't get. And Sumin still wants to blame her for everything, and Jiwon tells her, like, look, you brought this all on yourself. You have no one to blame but yourself. As Jiwon walks away, she says that it's not over and that she will make sure that her fate goes to Sumin. So Jiwon goes back to the hospital and basically relieves Hyun and tells her to go home and rest.
지원 씨, 오늘 퇴근하고 뭐해? 혹시 좀 만날 수 있나? 무슨 일 있으세요? 말하기도 좀 그런데 우리 남편 바람난 것 같다.
While in the hospital, Jiwon gets a text from Mrs. Yang who asks if she has some time because she believes that she has found her husband cheating on her, and it makes Jiwon flash back to her incident when she died. We then see Mr. Lee, who's sitting outside of Mrs. Yang's parents' restaurant, contemplating on whether to get food when he sees Mrs. Yang running away. So he follows her and then asks, like, why is she acting so pathetic, basically? And, like, if she finds her husband cheating, she should get angry. She should hit him. He even offers her his golf club, which she doesn't really want at that time. So Yura finds out that the police have agreed to close the case, and she looks in her envelope and we see her pull out a picture of Eunho.
뭐 하실 말씀이 있으시다고?
식사는 아주 좋고 하고 싶은 말은 유지혁이랑 무슨 사이예요?
So while Minwon and Sumin are lying in bed, she slowly goes and grabs his phone to take down the number for Yura. And then we see that Jiwon is still in the hospital with Ji Hyuk, who is still in a coma. So she speaks to him a little bit about her feelings and how she wants them to be together. And then she said about wanting to hear his voice. So she plays back the recording that he made before he got hit in the accident. And he eventually opens his eyes and they both profess their love to each other. Right, and then this is where the episode ends. And guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.